Good morning. So I'm here to build my RaceBlade today. Hope you're excited, because I am. It is nasty outside, probably can't tell super well, but it's disgusting out there. And I really can't fly. So if I'm not gonna fly, then I'm gonna spend the time making sure that my builds are ready. So I've got everything I need today to build my RaceBlade. I'm gonna show it off now. Here it is. Here's all the stuff laid out. I got my mess all around the place, but it'll make sense when I start building. So we got all my stuff here, so we'll start on this side. Gonna be running a video aerial system race spec AirBlade, 5.8 antenna, nice and small. I'll be wearing this GoPro, by the way, when I'm doing my build vlog. I got the 5 volt step down Polulu. I don't necessarily need it, but I'm keeping on there in case I ever end up running a different flight controller. Got 5-inch RaceBlade, which I had showed off in the last video. Thing's gonna be sweet. Got a TBS mini crossfire, just like I run in the Alien. Thing is awesome. I got an HS117 FPV camera, similar to what pretty much everyone uses in the industry. Got all aluminum socket heads, so these are all black socket head bolts. I'm a big proponent of using socket head. I hate bullet head, they're just too easy to strip. We got KDE 2304, 2350 motors. These things are incredibly cool. I really like these. Look how quick that focuses. Gosh, that's sweet. Alright, we got the TBS Unify Pro. I had an Instagram post about a little bit ago. This thing's incredibly small. Pretty excited about having the Core Pro to control it. Got my TBS Core PRO here. That's the full-size Pro, not the race version, so I'll be using that for this build simply because I want the current sensor. I don't know if it's super necessary, but I'm a big fan of having it, so I have it. We got KISS 24 ESCs. Look how sweet and small those are. Those are awesome. Those will be going on there. And then finally, in coup d'etat, is my KISS flight controller. Check that out. Dang. Super excited to have that. I'm really jacked to fly this thing. I think it's going to be awesome. There you have it, guys. Got it all ready to go. Let's spend the next few hours building this bad boy. So, like I said, I'll be wearing this GoPro on my head. I'll be wearing this GoPro, and I'll have this video pointed down. So I'll be switching in between it in the edit so that it's easier for you guys to see. Pretty much it, man. I'll be watching Netflix, but I'll pause it anytime I have to talk. Try and make it a little easier. But I'll try and make it very obvious what I'm doing and answer any questions you guys have below. Okay, here we go. Okay, so first thing I need to do is I'm gonna bust all the RaceBlade parts out. And I'm gonna be running all of my carbon fiber, all of this stuff here. I'm gonna put all this through a process where I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna sand, or not sand, but I'm gonna file it. I got these tools from my Alien builds. Thank you, Impulse RC, by the way. So I'll be taking all these and I'll be making the edges nice and smooth so that I don't have to worry about any kind of scratching or anything happening, and then I'll coat them with some Loctite 401, just like Steele used in his video. I got that from him, and it kind of ended up making me a perfectionist. So now I do it on all of my carbon. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. See you outside. All right. Got the GoPro. I don't think it's rolling yet. Probably gotta get that going. Anyways, got my stuff. We can go out here. Gonna get this stuff done. Gotta get some, get my protection. You get the idea. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna back this up a little bit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start working on the power distribution board. This is just a CP or a frame, whatever you call it, a board holder that I ordered off Amazon recently to help me with holding and stuff. It's way better than trying to do it all just sitting on the cut board there. God, there's all kinds of sweet stuff in here. Sweet. Got Lumineer stickers. Those are gonna go on my case. Strap. Which I have literally a ton of straps right over there. Okay, so cut this up. I think I left. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I left the solder out on my kitchen table. So I got that. My last vlog, you saw the video of working with a buddy of mine building his quad. So I had to move all my stuff back in today, which is no big deal. There we go, look at that, now it's nice and held. Don't have to worry about holding it. Let me go grab that solder. So what I'll do is I'll tin this power distribution board, and then I'll tin my ESCs and start looking at what I'm gonna need for wire so that I can cut those down. That little guy. See how small that thing is? Isn't that crazy? Just tiny. Just tiny. So what I'll do now is I'm gonna go ahead and do it. How do I want to do this? I want it to be as close to the top as I can. So I'll probably end up doing it like that. And this is SDH in. So it's gonna sit on there like this. So I'll go ahead and do those pins first. Take my 2mm frame and just put it underneath there so that that's nice and flat. Maybe. Okay. So now what I need to do is I'll hold these on there. I'm gonna flip this over like this. So all I need to do is just hold this and get this just tinned enough to where it'll hold, just like that. Okay. Now we'll do the other 3. Okay. So now I've got my Polulu wired on there. I got the I really should clean that up. You can tell I got kind of that angle there. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm gonna fix that. Now that it's secure, I should be able to do that. Dang it. So now I've got to remove solder from there because I joined those 2 joints. Like I said, I'm new at this. Or I'm not an expert is what I should say. Not exactly new. Still a little bit of angle there, but there's no contact with the board. See there, no contact, so that's all I cared about. Free moving. So now what I'm gonna do, since I've got that wired on there, this is all just extra wire there, so I'm gonna chop those off with a wire cutter, just because I don't need that much extra. If I can find my wire cutter. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to chop those off as close to the base as I can. Two, 3, 4. Now they're just nice and flush at the bottom there. And I've got those all wired. Nice and soldered on there. No free movement. Solid. Okay. Let's check on these a little bit more. You can see they're drying, but wait a little longer, make sure they're good. Get some really lightweight sandpaper and I'll clean off some of this gunk. So I'm a perfectionist about those kind of things. So let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's go ahead and tin my ESCs. I've had nothing but good experiences with all of my KISS ESCs, and I'm a big fan of Flightarduino's work, so I'm really excited about trying that flight controller because I'm guessing it's going to be pretty awesome. It's just way different than the 30 amp ESCs, but I guess that's kind of the point. I just got a text message. I'll check that out quick. Nothing important. Okay. Go ahead and tin these bad boys. solder just grabs to those things. It's awesome. Now I'm not going to do a ground for my signal wires, just because I never really understood. I mean, assuming it needs a ground sometimes to grab on real hard, but I'm not super concerned about that. God, these solder pads are huge. I wonder what the reason, I wonder why they, I mean, I kind of understand why they're, you know, around the edge like this. It gives you a lot more surface area, which means a better grab, which is bueno. Flip this guy around. Do the pretty hot. Give it a second to cool down. In the meantime, I'm gonna go grab that sandpaper. These edges, I'm just gonna kind of clean up a little bit. This is really high grit sandpaper, so I'm just kind of cleaning it up for appearance purposes. See how much comes off there. Nice and smooth like. Yeah. Clean. So I'm not removing the glue or anything, I'm just kind of cleaning it, making it so that it's a little bit easier for me to live with every day when I look at this thing. I'm such a perfectionist sometimes. It's probably not always a good thing, but it is what it is. This was the first one we did. Just had a lot of that extra free glue. Just because I put it on kind of weird. Instead of applying it to the arm, I put it on the plastic, which is not as efficient. A lot of this will be covered up by the motors. My goal before I have to go to lunch is to finish up the frame, get the frame built, finish up the tinning of the ESCs, and then I'll go ahead and take a break and go and get some lunch with my wife, who had to work today. I took today off. Slacker. Anyways, Okay, cleaned up now, so we'll finish the The reason I say I shake a lot like that is because I was born preemie, so a lot of my nerve endings didn't finish. Apparently, it's what the doctors say. But I shake a lot. Like I struggle when I'm trying to put like screwdrivers into screws, or different things like that. Small little meticulous things I struggle with. So, anyways, let you know. Okay, now build this frame.
There's a pyramid of power with eyes that can see it all. Cameras to capture your image at City Hall. Realize they listen whenever you make a call.
Anyways, you get the idea. It's gonna end up looking like that. Boom! Have that KISS flight controller set up in there. Gonna have the Core Pro fitting right here. Battery line coming up above it. We'll have the Crossfire probably sitting right next to it with the antennas coming out, or antenna coming out. And then just gotta mount the VTX on the top. So anyways, so next we'll do ESCs here. Do ESCs from here to here. And then we'll wire up the flight controller and the Core Pro. Not super sure with this build where I'm gonna set this down for a little bit. I'm gonna go run to the store, gotta ship some stuff, and then I'll be back to finish up. So GoPro's been capturing this whole time, so that's cool. We have more frames there. That's it. You gotta stop looking up at that lens, or at that deal. And that's why Casey and I stat wears glasses. Anyways, moving on. See you in a little bit. All right, I'm back. We can get this started again. Got the GoPro already rolling. I think it is, anyways. Yep, we're good. So, did a couple things. Found some of my other standoffs. I was talking before we went on lunch break that these ones were just too short. So I'm gonna switch out these real short guys with these ones here. So the idea is that hopefully I'll have some more clearance. They're, you know, about 2 times as tall, so that should be good. I think that'll be helpful. Now we're gonna solder on the ESCs and motors, and then we'll start messing with the kind of the more minute stuff. Get the FPV stuff wired in, and the flight controller, and we'll move on. Alrighty, here we go. So got a couple of different options as far as wiring goes. Bring this up a little more. Right about there. So I'm gonna probably end up running some I'm thinking 18 gauge for my ESCs. I guess I can check and see what I guess I'll look real quick at one of the motors. These are again the KDE 2350s. These things are just so sweet. So high quality. I haven't gotten to try the new Lumineer motors, but even if they are really good, I don't know. I mean, these KDE motors are insane. Okay, so these are 20 gauge, so they're a little bit smaller than 18, so I think that'll work. I'll run 18 gauge to the ESCs from the power distribution board, and then I'll just be trimming these guys down to go right on the corners and match up with the ESCs. So that's another thing I wanted to check. So with these motors on there, I want to see what the clearance is like. Yeah, it's concerning. So you see how tight the bearing is inside there, just like pretty much right on the edge. I mean I know that's good because it's protected, but I mean any little thing and it's gonna lock up that motor. So I'm gonna check and see. Sometimes these I think KDE comes with other bearings, but I don't see them, which is unfortunate. So I might just have to trim that a little bit inside there. That's what I did with the Alien. Here's the Alien here. So you can see that the hole is bigger there. So I think I just kind of cut those out. I don't like doing that because then you run the risk of loosening your tension on the bolts there, because you've got less carbon fiber in between the bearing spot and your bolt spot. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. It's too bad. I don't know. I might just try putting some motors on and see if I think that the clearance level is going to be okay. I mean, there's probably about a millimeter in there. I don't know. We'll see. So anyways, what we're gonna do first is we'll We'll lock this guy on there just with a tiny little, with a couple of tiny little bolts. It's gonna go on like this. The other thing I was a little worried about is these are seriously close to touching. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go grab it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some electrical, some liquid electrical tape on that, and that's just so that I don't have anything touching the aluminum bolts underneath the frame there. It holds the same purpose in this regard. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that's gonna cause me any trouble as far as the as getting some shortages on the frame, because there's nothing worse than blowing up a video transmitter just because your frame is slightly hit. So I'll just cover those in a pretty thick little bath there. Don't really care too much about how it looks for two reasons. One, because I'm going to be replacing this hopefully near future with a with one of their new what do they call it, the quick swap board. I just think that's a really innovative idea, and I want to support it, so I'll be running that as soon as they release it. Hopefully this will probably just be a temporary deal. Little trick for you guys. So I have, you know, when I use this liquid electrical tape, it takes a long time to dry, and I'm really lazy, or I'm not lazy, but really impatient. And so what I found is if you use my heat gun, I use a Wagner heat gun. This thing's pretty cheap. You just take this and start it on there. It'll dry it enough to where you can feel confident touching it. So you can see it kind of already is starting to firm up a little bit. That big clump is going to be the only thing that I have trouble with probably. It's hot. So there you go. Now I got that a little dried up, so I can put that back on here and feel a little bit more confident about the fact that it hopefully won't short out now. So talked about it a little bit. I'm just gonna put one bolt on this guy on the corner here. I'll just be really careful not to touch it with, actually, you know what? I'm gonna use the standoff since I'm not gonna use these standoffs anyways. It's safer to use the standoffs. I wonder if this, I need to try and remove some of this flux before I forget about it too. I have to get like a steel brush or something. Anyways, so I'll throw this guy on there. Kind of hold it in place with two of them. Uno. Dos. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide where I want my ESCs to sit. So I'm thinking I like having them kind of right in the middle there. It gives me an opportunity to space out the motor wire, and I also have some really nice what do you call it, air coverage, so I don't have to worry about overheating at all, which is good because I don't want the ESCs ever to get too hot. So now I'm gonna go ahead and size out some wire. This is just silicone wire. I can't remember where I bought it from. I think it might have actually been Get FPV, but just 18 gauge silicone wire. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure out for each ESC about how long I'm gonna need, and then I'll cut them, test them. So this one here is gonna be my positive to positive. See, that one's about right. If I use the same length for negative to negative, be about there. So that'll work. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do, so I have 4 ESCs, which means I need 8 of these. So I'm going to size these all the exact same. And the reason I do it this way is because then I'm certain that they'll all be the same distance from the ESC, which isn't a huge deal, but since I'm a perfectionist, this is kind of the way that I do it. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. And then what I'll do just to clean them up, make sure I'm happy with all the lengths, I'll set them all up against each other like this. So I'll get them all about the same point. I'm having trouble keeping them in my hand, obviously. I'll get them all up to the same point there. You can see some of them are obviously significantly longer already. Just because I'm not that great at cutting them perfect. So I'll take them all in my hand like that, and then I'll just trim them and get them to the point that I like. There you go. Now I've got 8 pieces of wire, all the exact same length, and I'm going to use those to set up where my power is going to run from to my ESCs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip all these. I've got a couple of different sizes of wire strippers. These are some of my favorite wire strippers, come from Klein Tools. I got them on Amazon, but they're very, very nice wire strippers. So now I'm going to go through, I'm going to bring this guy into use now. So I'll strip all these guys. Actually, I'll use the bigger one. This guy here. It's got sizes on the thing there that help me make sure that I'm using the right one. Otherwise, you start stripping away some of the wire, which obviously you don't want to do because you want the extra ability to transfer more amperage. And you can see I'm trimming a very small amount. Obviously, it's okay to do a little bit more, but my biggest issue is I want it to be clean, so I'm not stripping away a ton because I want it to be nice and tight against the point. It was about a week or two ago I accidentally cut both of the battery wires off at the same time, and so I fused some wire inside of this thing so it doesn't close all the way, which is kind of frustrating, but it's all good. Almost there, one more. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all that wire I just trimmed and I'm going to tin all of it. So I'm using a tool that I also got off Amazon. I'll try and move in the frame a little bit here. So this guy here, it's a really awesome 4-part pair of extra hands. So what I'll do is I'll put these in pairs of 2 inside these alligator clips, and then I'll tin them so that I can solder easily. One thing I'll also do, just to help with solder and how clean the look looks, is I'll take each one of these wires you can see here on this one, and I'll take the small amount of wire that I've stripped there, and I'll just turn them. I'll do a little bit, and that's just to keep the all that wire nice and contained. You don't have any stragglers. It's kind of wrapping the wire in itself there. Make it nice and tight. Okay, now I'll go ahead and tin these. I'll let my So I haven't thought a whole lot about how I'm going to do the Core Pro. Obviously it's going to be a pretty tight fit in there. It's going to end up sitting right here. It's going to be very tight. I'm going to take it out of the case. And then this I'm going to remove from the case, also desoldered the XT60s, and I'm just going to put it right in line with my my battery XT60 that's going to come out and come up to the little dongle fit there. So that's going to be kind of a tight fit, but that's how I want to build this thing. So the reason I decided to go with the Core Pro instead of like a P&P Pro 50 is because I really like the idea that I'll be able to run my Crossfire through audio, and then I'll be able to attach my P&P or my Unify Pro to my Core Pro, which then allows me to do a lot of control stuff through my radio. So I'll be able to change channel and change my radio power, output power. So if I'm ever racing or whatever, I'll be able to just quickly change it through the radio system and not have to dive in and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to keep this in the case, so I'm just putting this away. Take this guy out. Alright, so Now we're gonna start mounting motors. These beautiful bastards. Look at those KDE 2350s. Yeah, buddy. All right. So these guys are gonna sit right in here. I'm gonna test this one first with my 6mm bolts. And that is one incredibly tight fit, but it's clear. You can see there, it's just super tight. But I think these bolts are perfect. They're exactly what I'm looking for. They're light as hell, which I'm a big fan of. Okay, so to give you an idea, I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm gonna take these, right? Decide where I'm gonna place these ESCs. They're gonna sit right about there. So then I'm gonna cut my motor right there, those motor wires right there, and I'm gonna solder them direct to that. And then I'm gonna move the heat shrink. I'll put heat shrink on before I solder. Move that heat shrink over, and then once I determine motor rotation, I'll move it, solder that point if I need to. If I don't, leave it alone, and then I'll heat shrink and tape these guys down, and they'll be good to go. So now what I'm gonna do is take each one of these, mount the motors, cut the wires. These, I should mention, these motors are only being mounted temporarily. I haven't put any Loctite on there, obviously. I'm just doing this so that I can cut the wire. And I'm gonna make them a little longer than necessary. I'll typically cut them so you can see where the ESC is gonna sit. So I'm gonna probably cut them right about there. Having a little extra play there is okay. I'm not over tightening these bolts and being really careful not to over tighten. What I do, by the way, to make this easy is I just find where I want to cut and I push down with my nail, and it makes an observable mark on the wire. And then I take it off, come over, grab my wire cutters, and just chop it right there. Again, taking care, because there's no going back. Once it's cut, you're done. You're done. So now I've got all 4 motors sized out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip these, strip those. I'm going to tin them, and then I'm going to apply heat shrink, solder them onto the ESCs, and then we'll move forward. I'll mount this hardware on there. That stuff I can do easily, and then from there I'll alright, so now I'm gonna go ahead and mount the prop nuts, or not prop nuts, sorry, the prop adapters onto the motors, and then from there I'll get everything attached: power distribution board, flight controller. I'll power the flight controller, and then I will run signal wire from the motors to the ESCs to the flight controller, and then we'll test rotation, and then I can start working on FPV equipment. This will be my first time working with the flight, or the KISS flight too, so that'll be interesting, figuring out how to do motor rotation and stuff since I'm so used to beta flight. So now what I'm doing is getting these tiny little bolts out. These are the bolts used to mount the prop adapters on. And I will put Loctite on these now, because they're never going to come off, hopefully. I always think it's funny that motors come with these tiny little bolts, and it's like, wow, that's really helpful, thank you. These tiny little things, these are supposed to be what you use to mount the motor. I mean, look at that, they're like 2 mil bolts, tiny. Not helpful. Not helpful. These guys not gonna be down here. These guys go on here, just like this. And then I'm gonna coat the tiny little guy, this little dude. Like I said, each of these is gonna get Loctite. Spare solder, so they get Loctite on them. I put quite a bit on these. I really don't want these to come off. And like I said, theoretically they'll never have to come off unless for some reason the adapter got bent or something. But I doubt that'll ever happen, because typically the props will take the brunt of the hit, and they'll take kinetic force. That's only if I crash it too, which of course I never do. Amateurs crash, just kidding. I crash all the time. Speaking of which, anyone jealous of this shirt? Check that out. It's a stormtrooper flying his drone. Sweet. Sweet. So this morning I started this project around 10 o'clock and it's now right around 3:30. So I did take that hour and a half or so long break, but this can be a long process, especially if you're meticulous about it. Everything's going well, pretty happy with where it's at. I've got ESCs wired in, got the power distribution board done, got the Plulu done, got the motors on. Gonna be doing next, I'll wire the flight controller on and the battery control on. So what I'm gonna do with the battery, just to explain a little bit, this guy, I'm gonna desolder both these XT60s off of there. And then once the XT60s are off, then I'm just gonna wire this straight into my power distribution board. So it'll just sit right below it. There needs to be a small cable that's gonna come off of that and go into the Core Pro here. So the Core Pro is gonna sit right below it. And then everything's gonna just sit on top of that. There we go. Got it. Got it. Okay, so now I'll just flip that over. I'll do the other side. Alright, that one was super easy. XT60s are off now. I don't take those anymore. I'll go ahead and take the gloves off. And now I can just clean this up a little bit. It's probably still hot. Get out of the way for a little bit. That guy away. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it back in this vise. Make it so that I can access the positives super easy. And then I'll wire very, very short chunks of wire. Very short. So, I'm gonna use a lot bigger of a gauge than I used for the ESC. So on these, I'm probably gonna go with 12 gauge. I'm interested to see what they ship. So it looks like on the provided one, it doesn't say, but it's probably, I would get, oh, there it is. These are 16 gauge. I might have some 16 gauge. That's all 18. I mean, 12 is freaking huge. It is massively large. But kick this out. So, the reason you would obviously use big wire for your battery connector is I'm going to be putting a lot of voltage through that, like simply through that one, and then it gets dispersed through all ESCs. So you want it to be super strong. This is what they provide. This is 16 gauge. What I was thinking about using was some 12 gauge, but this stuff is really big. You know what? I'm going to use 12 gauge to connect it to the or to the power distribution board, simply because I want it to be really, really tight. And then on the other connector, I'll probably do something different. as you can see, I still have some stuff to learn. I really like burning myself. Definitely still have some stuff to learn. So right now we got everything ready as far as power testing goes. Just got to do the battery connection, and then I'll be able to do power testing for everything. Gonna run voltage into the flight controller next. After I get the battery wired up, flight controller will be next, and then from there I'll be able to test motor rotation, and then I just start wiring up FPV gear and I'm done. So I'm gonna run to the store. All right. Got the wire, heading home. Got some wire for the battery cord. Should be good. This camera does not like low light very much. It's alright. When I was soldering, after I've made so many comments about it, I soldered directly into this guy, and as you can see, I melted the hell out of it. Oh, it's unusable. But that's okay. Luckily I have extra. I'll go into a different decision. Oh, I got everything wired up, motors and all that. Gonna go test rotation, and then we'll go from there. So rotation should be quick. I just have to plug it into the new system. I don't know how the KISS flight controller works, but I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out pretty quick. So I'll get that all wired up, and then once I test rotation, I'll go in and double check and see if I need to change rotation. If I do, I can do that pretty quickly, and then I'll just start doing FPV gear. So getting close. Okay, so now I'm gonna build the camera cord, because the camera cord isn't actually gonna work with what with what I was planning on using. Well, the HS117 has its own. The HS117 has its own camera cord, so I'm gonna pretty much match this cord to a TBS camera cord, so then I can use it with the Core Pro. Okay, got my cable built. Just gonna go ahead and heat. Okay, so I got the Core Pro all taped down. It's good to go. I got the current sensor rewired on there. It's got a little bit more movement now, so this will go up in here. That's all good. I got the ability to still access the USB. I made that kind of important. I wanted to be able to reach that. So now I'm able to get in there. I've got to figure out how I'm gonna mount the crossfire in here, because I don't like the potential for it to be free moving. But I don't know. Oh man. I don't like really anything on this top plate for where I'm gonna put the wire through the antenna. The only thing I can think of is just like straight up out of one of these, which I suppose would work. Just come straight up out of one of these holes. So I guess that's what I'll try. With that in mind, I'm probably just gonna tape it on here too. I don't like bending the antenna that much. Maybe I'll just zip tie it. I'll just zip tie it to the top right here. That's probably what I'll do. I'll use one of these zip tie holes here. Have it come back. Maybe, I mean, shoot, I don't know. I could just have it sitting kind of like this. Make it so that the bind button's still available. Turn the antenna as much as I can. And then just kind of go. TBS Crossfire setup. I got my MZ24. Everything should be good. I'll power this guy up first. And then I'll try and bind it after I power it. Select the right model. Okay, go ahead and power this guy. Should stay orange. Yep. So now I'll go ahead and power this. And just like that, should be trying to bind. It doesn't have the new firmware though. So I'll actually have to update it through the core. Dang it. Forgot about that. So we'll unplug it so that I can update through the core. Tell you what, I think if there's one thing that I dislike the most out of all this stuff, it's just all the updates. If there was some way that it could be done over the air, God, it would change everything. It would change everything. I have to re-download the software because I had to completely reformat last week. So we need TBS agent. Which is right here. It's downloading. Okay, agents installed. Ah, man. Long day. Downloading updates. PNP Pro 32. It's all connected. There we go. Updating away.
All I'm saying is that most women wax the day they expect to have sex. That's just rule number one.
More commercials. Thanks, Hulu. Thanks. It's a good thing I really like Arrow, which is a sweet show, by the way. Pretty much all superhero shows I dig. Come on. Pick up the mini. Current sensor. Alright, let's try this again. Updating firmware. I think I need to update the crossfire too, which I wonder if it's backlogging the firmware now because the crossfire was probably below that update, but whatever. As long as it connects, I don't care. Updating itself, doing that flash thing, connected, boom. We got connection, green light. you go. I'm pretty much done. Everything's mounted. I'm gonna go ahead and electrical tape the ESCs now. Everything's wired up. Got the antenna wired, which I'm gonna end up putting a 90 degree there. 90 degree off, and then I'll bend this up. It's just better for when it's in a crash, but hopefully it won't be in a crash very often. There you go. Final product. HS117. Everything's mounted. Should be good for a test flight tomorrow. Nice. Only thing I don't dig, obviously, is the Core Pro hanging out the back there.